This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Welcome back to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. Mike Canet is here. Ryan Herbert is here. We're talking through some of the issues of retirement today. And if you have a question for Mike and the team, you can use our website, which is askmikeradio.com. And we'll handle that question right here on the radio. So if there's something that you're curious about as you listen to the show, make sure you drop us a line. So one of the things that people ask about is, I'm going into retirement and I got some stock from mom and dad that I've been hanging around. It's IBM stock or GE stock from years and years ago. They told me never to sell it, so I didn't. And I got it, and it's been going up, but I don't know if I should use it in retirement. There are people that have old 401ks, or they have old bonds and things like that. They have old things that they wonder, can I use this? So, Mike, as somebody brings in their financial life to you and you look at some of this stuff, is it rip and tear, we just got to sell this and use the assets, or can you turn some of this and give some new life to it?
Well, it's actually kind of interesting because we do see some crazy stuff. I had a client that had been filing tax returns since like 1945, and he had every tax return he had ever filed.
Oh, wow.
The actual, and back in the day, it wasn't like you made copies of stuff. So he actually had done 2 copies, fill out 2. And some of those tax returns from like 1940 and 1950, 1 page. I mean, it was insane.
Wow.
It was so cool to see it. And they're all yellow and brittle because he's been holding on to them. But yeah, unfortunately, just like there's a lot of financial news clutter, people clutter their lives with a lot of paperwork and documents. And worse than that is that it's not that they have an old 401k and a stock that they inherited with mom, but they have 2 or 3 401ks because they've moved from 2 or 3 different jobs, and they've worked with 3 or 4 different advisors over the years. And each one of those advisors supplied them, and I'm doing air quotes, supplied them with some sort of investment vehicle that they still have. So really what they do is they come to us half the time with a hodgepodge of stuff, and they have no idea what it is. And one of the cool things about the way we do our business is that we do want to see your tax return. And those tax returns tell us things that you don't necessarily know. So, for example, I was sitting down with one of a woman out of Bethesda, and she had made a comment to me. She had told our team that she had about $1 million to work with and wanted some help with some income planning. I mean, she kind of fit the criteria of what we're looking for. And so she came in with her documents, and I could see on her documents that she must have had in excess of $2 or $3 million in mutual funds. And I could see that because I looked at her documents, and on her Schedule D, I could see a huge capital gain distribution on her Schedule D. And when she's showing it to me and she's telling me that she's got about $1 million, and she shows me this account and it's basically cash and bonds with $1 million in it, I know it doesn't represent what's on her tax return. And I mentioned it to her. I said, well, I think like we're missing somewhere, $2, $3, $4 million of other investments. And she says to me, no, I don't have anything else, which is always a problem because you can't have that type of relationship. But at the end of the day, she acknowledged it, and her concern, and I think this is a true concern or apprehension a lot of people have, is that I've been sold so much garbage over the years, and I have all this crap that I don't even know what to do with. Yeah, I see that all the time. And so for us, part of the process of coming aboard is going through that stuff. I don't know if Vanessa shared with you her story, but Lawrence gave her some UTMA accounts to take care of. And a UTMA account is a uniform, trust minors, basically set up for minor kids. And depending on what state, somewhere between 18 and 21, the money gets transferred over to the minor, right? It's just it's a way for a parent to control the money or a grandparent to control the money. So Lawrence said, gave it to Vanessa and said, hey, can you, get this taken care of for me? And Vanessa's looking at it, and it's for a 55-year-old prospect, a person just coming aboard who's 55 years old that still has a UTMA account from, I don't know, 40 years or something, however many years that is that he's had it. Dad's dead. So now we have a problem because it's still in dad's name for the benefit of his son. Yeah. And his son's now 50, 55 years old. Dad's long dead. So yeah, we see that type of nonsense all the time. I see bonds that haven't paid interest in a decade because people don't know what to do with them or how to cash them in.
I think one of the things that I see, it's not super common, but old stock certificates I don't see them very often, but just a couple weeks ago, Lawrence and I, and this is where I thought you were going with this with Vanessa, is a client said, oh, dad died 10 years ago. Mom died about 8 years ago. We found these stock certificates, all those years ago. We've just never done anything with them. And we want to figure out what we can do with them now. And it's one of those things where if you come across old stock certificates, you want to look into it right away, because the longer you wait, the more difficult the tracking becomes on these things, because oftentimes these companies get bought and sold and new shares are issued. And I think that the tracking that we're doing, we're on like the 12th company of these stock certificates. And we're trying to figure out, what is actually valid, what was turned into to digital shares at this point. And it's one of those things where, it's such an old, outdated thing with these physical shares. And I had always heard about stock shares and coupon books, and I never get to see them, but occasionally they come into the office, and I do enjoy looking at them. But, if you're one of those people that, you're going through mom and dad's things and you see these stock certificates, try to take action on them right away. They might be worthless and they might be just something cool to have, but, it's a lot easier to take action on it sooner, as soon as you find it, than wait 10, 15 years or when you get to retirement and try and track these things down from that point.
Or you never do anything and now your kids have to deal with it. I mean, it can become a nightmare. But yeah, I mean, that's all part of the process. I tell people all the time, part of my job is to hold your hand, to force you to cross the street. But sometimes my job is to hold your hand to keep you from running across the street, right? And really what Ryan and I and our team here provide is a kind of a partner to walk you into and through retirement. And that revolves around making sure your affairs are all in order. And it's everything from, like you asked about, and the person that asked Mike brought up is, what do I do with all these old stock certificates? Yeah, unfortunately, it's not that uncommon. It's not uncommon to find old accounts. I can't tell you how many people we have that one of the reasons why they came to us is they've gotten some statement from the Maryland or Florida, but lost assets, right? So every state, if you don't claim your assets in a certain period of time that are out there, it basically goes into kind of a lost account with the state. The state tries to find you. And then if the state can't find any relatives to take the money, then they give it to, whatever the school funds or whatever they use the money for at that point. But, it's abandoned property. But it's amazing. Once or twice a year, we get somebody that comes into the office and some relative of theirs, someplace along the road, died and left assets that didn't have a beneficiary on, and nobody could find anybody. So they sat there in limbo for 3 to 5 years before, Vanguard turned it over to the state of Maryland, and the state of Maryland does what they can do to track it down. And they wind up with, Audrey and her husband, Greg, and they wind up, and it turns out there's millions of dollars in there. But in the meantime, it took us better part of a year to go through the process, because there were brothers and sisters that had passed away. And basically what we had to do is we had to show that not only did mom and dad die, but that all these brothers and sisters, we had to probate all their estates to finally get the money to come through to our clients. I mean, and it's a nightmare of work. So to Ryan's point of view, for those of you that are helping mom and dad, have these conversations. I mean, have these conversations about old stocks and bonds. I mean, gosh, I had a client that her mother passed away, and they knew it about their mother, but her mom had passed away, and she was one of those kind of wacky women from the 30s and 40s that used to have a Pentaflex. I don't know if you know what a Pentaflex is, but one of those accordion type file things. It's made out of paper, and you can open it up. It's got ABC or what, and she would pay her bills out of there. She would put cash in there to pay her bills, and she would go down. But she was also one of those ones that would put money in books, and so under normal circumstances, mom and dad die. There's a whole bunch of books on the shelves. Most of the time, you just pack up the books and you donate them to charity. I don't know what the number was, but it was in the $15,000 to $17,000 worth of money. $20 bills, $50 bills hidden in these books. It's insane. And yes, I mean, when I say it doesn't happen often, it happens enough that we have. I could spend the next 3 hours telling you stories about found money where people didn't expect to find it.
It's people who lived through the Depression. My grandmother had $8,000 in a Band-Aid box in the freezer.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff all the time. Well, let me ask about this, because Mike, one of the things, you're going to be with your clients for a long period of time. They might be with you for 20 years. Okay. And when I think about what's happened in the last 20, 25 years, there's been a lot. And when I think about interest rates and things like that, there are financial vehicles that are interest rate dependent. So somebody is in retirement right now, and they're listening to us, and they bought an annuity 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's at a very low rate. I think about, mortgage rates. They go down, I refinance my house. I get a better deal. Is it the same when you sit down with somebody and you say, okay, this is really old. Look at this interest rate. We can do better now. Let's refinance this and update this.
That's a great case in point. You're right. We see that all the time. We see, and it's not just annuities, it's across the board. It could be somebody that has way too much in Apple stock, and it's an emotional connection because, they inherit from mom and dad, and we have to talk them off the ledge of, it's okay to sell the Apple stock. I know dad said never to sell it. Mm-hmm. It's okay. It's making up too much of your portfolio. We see those type of things. And yes, just like you mentioned, we see annuities all the time that have horrible interest rates that they're paying, horrible caps because they're 10 and 15 years old. But really what we see is that somebody sold them an annuity for income purposes, which I get why people do that. It's a way you can transfer risk, but then they never use the income from it. So they have this annuity that is horrible. And I'm making a generalization. I get it. But if you buy an annuity for income purposes, it's good for income. It's horrible for everything, horrible to make money on. All it's good for is income. And I can't tell you how often we see people come in that have some old annuity that either A, the participation rates are capped, or B, it's an income rider that they're not using. Or, I hate to say it this way, I jump on the Ken Fisher bandwagon. I hate annuities and you should too. The amount of people I see in these old variable annuities that are charging, 3, 4, 5% in fees, that you don't understand the riders that say guarantee income, they guarantee income to a certain point and then you're on your own. All sorts of wackiness. And Randy, I had this guy come in and I can't remember, he had 2 first names. I don't remember what it was, but we're just going to call him Arnold. And he was an old AXA annuity guy. So AXA Equitable Annuity. We've heard of them, 6%, that type of thing. And he came in, he convinced me to let him come into the office because he wanted to have a plan. And he had been selling himself AXA annuities and life insurance for 40 or 50 years. And I sat down and I did the examination. We tore apart the AXA annuity to look at all the details. And I looked at it and he had some sort of guaranteed death benefit on one of his annuities. And it was about $2 million. And he was paying 0.35% in fees to guarantee the $2 million death benefit. Okay, well, that might be a low cost for life insurance. The problem is that the policy was worth $4 million. So the account value was $4 million. He had $4 million in there. So if he died, he got that $4 million. But in the meantime, he's paying a fee to protect $2 million. And I tried to convince him that was stupid. Why would you do that? Take the $4 million out, put it someplace else. Now we can protect the $4 million. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. That's not how it works. I had to get on the phone. This is a guy who sells annuities, sold himself an annuity. I had to get on the phone with him and AXA to walk him through how his own annuity works. So, yes, we see that type of nonsense all the time. And this goes back to what I say over and over again. These guys that sell investments, half the time they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the ripple effect. Maybe they get the big picture and they understand that annuity offers some guarantees by the insurance companies guaranteeing something. Yeah, they get that part. But what are the tax implications? What are the guarantees? What are you actually paying for? How do you actually use it? And yeah, we see that type of nonsense all the time in the practice. And our job is to just put together a plan, take what you have, figure out how to maximize the benefit out of it, make adjustments when necessary, and put you on the proper path for the second phase of your life.
Well, as we kind of close this one off here today, this segment, and talk about you coming in and sitting down and kind of bringing your financial life in and saying, what does this mean for me in retirement? There might be some things that you've held on to for an awfully long time, and you want to say, hey, is this something that I can use? Is this something that I should get rid of? What do you recommend here? And that is a part of the evaluation process as you sit down with the team at ProStatus. On the website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com, there's a button there that says schedule a call. call. And what that does is it sort of gets the ball rolling. And let's have a conversation about what you're concerned about. And as we take a look at everything that's out there on the table, are we a good fit? Let's sit down and put the papers out on the table. Again, thesavvyinvestorradio.com or 866-597-1040. That is all the time we have today for the Savvy Investor Radio Show. Ryan, I'll give you the last word on this one.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thanks for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast.
And this is Mike Canet. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.